Today we've got the map Cliffs. This is one of the oldest maps in World of Tanks. There are three distinct areas where battles are going to be happening. There's Valley, which is the 1-2 line. There's Donut, which is at EF34, so that big little outdrop there. Then there's Center, where a gigantic medium brawl always happens, which is in the 5-6 line, also on the EF area. Some other smaller parts, you have the corner way out on the edge where it goes around the mountain. On the 8-9 line, again, EF, very centered map. And you'll have the lighter and faster tanks try to fight over the lighthouse at the very top of that mountain in the 7-8 section of that area. Some parts that tend to be lesser utilized, the town down in GH 6-7 can be helpful later game to get cover from the top of that mountain if you're in the south. And then the same sort of town at CD12 area also gives good cover, especially for Valley. So you'll find TDs and some heavier tanks camping out there, but tends to not be utilized as much anymore with the new meta with faster tanks with more physics, because you can really get your tanks into crazy positions on this map. Scouts have two very distinct methods to run, be them north or south. You can run your scout either straight up through the center and up onto the mountain. There's a lot of mountain goat paths for you to take. You don't even need to adhere to those paths very often, but you can get up there, you can poke. If you're faster than the other team, you may even get to the top of the mountain, or you have to bail and let your RD do work, or you'll run down Valley and up this little access path at EF2 that will get you up to Donut and back to safety. The only downside to that is, since these are basically mirrored, you will usually find the enemy doing the same thing, so you've got to be ready to shoot and scoot. Mediums are the same sort of deal because they're faster. You'll see them move towards center, they'll hang out at Donut, and they'll use their speed to flex around and poke. It's never about armor on Cliffs because there's so many different cross shots to be given that you need to pay more attention to where the cover is and less attention to where you're getting shot from. If you are up on the mountain, you'll be shooting down at Donut every single time, and since you're at that extreme angle, you usually penetrate every single shot. The team who's taking over Donut is going to be directly worried about the team taking over center. Hopefully you're the team taking both, but if you're not, it's going to be a rough time. Heavy tanks always go up towards center. They'll drive up the two roads. Again, they're mirrored along the 5 line, basically H5 or C5. You drive up those roads. If you have better angling armor, you can go all the way around the corner, so around the mountain. That is usually safer, but if you're a sweet American or British heavy that has the great hull down ability, so they have really good gun depression, going towards center can be highly rewarding because you'll end up duking out with mediums who just can't withstand that fire of that magnitude. The downside is you're going to be a lot more open, so if they have a good, decent RD player, you're going to get blapped. TDs, almost exclusively you'll see TDs in the Valley, especially if they're the casemate TDs, the ones with fixed guns, mainly because there's only one real approach. My favorite thing to do is hang farther back, especially now that you can see where your draw distance is, because most of the time the enemy is not going to get spotted unless they're past the two corners, either at E or G. If they're not past those two corners, you're not going to see them because there's tons of bushes, but as soon as they get past them, they're basically wide open. So what I'll do is I'll hang back at like J1 or up in about C1, C2, and use that super long distance to hit the enemy without being spotted myself. And you can put massive amounts of damage down on players with that. RD is high risk, high reward on this map because you can stay basically where you spawn. The classic RD spots would be J and K1, A, B1. So you can also stay basically the rest of the one line to about A5 or the K line, maybe K line to K5. K5 is not super useful for shooting mid because you've got that giant rock in the way, but you can do some good damage to Donut. Now, if you've got a fast RD, you can get up on the plateau basically. So closer to A6, B6, or J5 through 7. That can be a whole lot more rewarding when you're shooting towards mid and valley. But the problem is you're going to be a lot easier to spot and way easy to take out. Don't take what I've said as word of law. These are just basic ideas because you're going to find enemies everywhere on this map because you can get everywhere on this map. You're going to see people climbing into weird places, but what you've got to really look out for is abuse of physics. This is Trevzor. Good luck, have fun, and I'll see you on the battlefield.